you're all joining up. A little minute to come in and get your audio connected so you can hear us all okay. If you're able to, come off your camera or turn your camera on so that we can see you. There's nothing better than having that beautiful faces all here looking back at us to interact with. It just makes the time for the team so much more enjoyable. Please keep yourself on mute so that we can hear the presenter chatting away this evening and sharing all these wonderful tips and tricks with you. I'd love to hear from you what you're wanting to get from this time. Why did you jump on tonight? Pop it in the chat box. If you've got a burning question or something that you're wanting to know, pop it in there. So we'll keep an eye on the chat tonight. I'd love to hear what it is that you're wanting to take away from it. We've got a wonderful menu planned this evening. We've got cooking for two in mind. So, you know, Mother's Day is around the corner, or maybe you're starting to think about a date night in, or just maybe you're a couple or a small household and you've wondered if the Thermomix might be for you, or if you're an owner already and you're just looking for some inspiration and ideas and, you know, new things to be cooking or different functions that you haven't used yet. I think that's a great opportunity to do that as well. Rosalind, no, you don't need to be cooking along. We've just got consultants demonstrating this evening, so it's great. But if you want to, by all means, you know, throw something in your Thermomix and cook along at the same time with us. But it will be the consultants doing all the cooking. So tonight's a learning opportunity for you. So thanks for asking and coming in. We've got a pasta bake. We've got a few desserts. We've got even a couple of cocktails. So hopefully you'll leave here feeling really inspired to try something new. I'll let the team introduce themselves and the recipe that they're going to be cooking. And I'll be emceeing and spotlighting and going between the kitchens around the Wellington and Taranaki and Bay of Plenty to this evening. And I'm in Wellington, so it's great. Where are you joining us from tonight? Pop it in the chat box and share with us. Where are you? We love seeing where everyone's zooming in from. And hopefully we'll have a really good time over the next 60 minutes or so. So before we get started, I'm just going to bring up a little functions page, because some of you may not be aware of what the Thermomix can actually do, which is so many things. Does anyone want to have a guess in the chat box? How many functions and modes do you think is possible with a Thermomix? Now we've got a few consultants on here tonight. They might know the answer. Got a few guesses coming in, 20, 27. Any other guesses? It's a pretty incredible appliance with we've got 33 functions and modes. So I'm going to bring up a little visual for you. If you haven't had a cooking demo with a consultant recently, you may not have seen this infographic yet, so I just want to share that with you. Kathy, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see that on your end all okay? Fabulous, thank you. So there you can see lots of the modes and functions that are possible with the Thermomix, and the team will be showcasing a lot of these tonight. If there's something in particular that you are drawn to or you'd like to know more about, please reach out to your consultant, because they would love to come and show you some of those modes or have a chat about how they work. And of course, if you don't have a Thermomix consultant yet, then just let us know, because we can put you in touch with somebody that's local to you and be able to help you as well. So I'll stop that screen share there. And we're going to whiz on over to Kathy's kitchen first up. So hi, Kathy. I'll just place the spotlight.
Kia ora, everybody. Nice to have you all here. I'm going to be cooking a pasta bake with broccoli and 3 cheese, which is perfect for our house because my husband's vegetarian. So it's, yeah, really easy to make. And it's going to be super simple, and it's just a perfect small size one for 2, which is great. So we're going to start. I've already pre-greased my oven dish, and we're going to pop some cheese in. I've got some Edam instead of cheddar, because that's just what we had at home. We've got 30 grams of that. Got some mozzarella. My daughter enjoyed tasting this afternoon while I was getting this ready. And we've got some Parmesan cheese. So it's going to be a really nice flavour with all those 3 in there. Now this is going to be a bit noisy, but it's going to be super quick because it's the Thermomix and it only takes 4 seconds. So let's go on speed 8. And there we go. Lovely grated cheese. Super, super fast. Let's grab my bowl. And we're going to just pop that aside for now. One easy tip is to hold the handle upside down while you're tipping the bowl up, because it just makes it that much easier to control and move while you're doing things. You want all those delicious cheesy bits. This dish will also freeze really well as well, because it's just like a macaroni cheese, which is great to pop in the freezer and pull out for a lunch or something at another time. Now we're going to pop in some water. Don't even have to clean the bowl on this one, which I love. The less job we have to do in between, the better.
I always love those recipes that say, do not clean the bowl.
I know, me too. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want to hear. Just a little bit of salt. And then we're going to put the simmering basket on top, which is going to help to release some of the steam while it's heating up. So it's not going to be overflowing or anything, which is perfect. So it's just going to go for 10 minutes, speed 1.
Fantastic. And Kathy, what's the temperature sitting at the moment? Are we going to need that full 10 minutes?
No,
Oh, yeah,
it won't. It's
perfect.
already at 75 because I preheated my water while I was doing all bits and pieces.
Yeah, so that's a great tip there. You can use your kettle if you're using a varoma just to speed up that process, because the kettle will heat a little bit faster if you are short of time. So yeah, fabulous. All right, signal when you're ready to crack on with your next steps. So you're going to put your pasta in there, isn't it?
I am.
The pasta's
going. Pasta and the broccoli. We're next to go.
Fantastic. We're going to whiz on over to Diane's kitchen. Thanks, Kathy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Diane and I'm in Manaia in South Taranaki, and tonight I'm going to be making the stir-fried beef bowl. So this is a really good quick takeaway meal, and if you look at the recipe, it actually defaults to 4 settings on the screen of your Thermomix. Sorry, you can't see my screen, but all the recipes have a serving size, and this one says 4 servings, but if you tap that, you can go into and choose your serving. So I've gone down to 2 servings, making it just perfect for 2 people. So I'll start the recipe here, and it's asking me to put a bowl on the lid and to weigh the beef. So I've already pre-weighed my beef, and I'm putting in just some ingredients here. I've got soy sauce, some oyster sauce, a bit of corn flour, some brown sugar, and a bit of some chili flakes and some pepper. And then I've mixed that all together. So that's all in there ready. So I've had that marinating, so it's all ready for us to go. And these lovely bowls from the mix shop, if you haven't seen these ones. And now it's asking to put some white rice in the basket. So when you're doing your rice, it's a really good idea to rinse it first. So it's asking us to rinse it, and the reason being so you take some of that starch away, and also a bit of dirt and debris or whatever else is on the rice, but it takes the starch away and it makes the grains so they don't stick together. The important thing to remember is what's asking you to rinse it till it's clear, and then I'm putting some water in the bowl. I've already got my water in there. And I'm popping the basket back in with my rinsed rice in here. Oops, got water going everywhere. I'm sorry, saying about the rice, the reason you have to rinse it is to keep it clear. The only time you don't is when you're making a rice pudding or you're doing a risotto. You never rinse the rice for risotto because you want the starch on it for those recipes. Okay, and in the varoma here, so this is a great recipe to get lots of volume, and we're using the varoma. So in the bottom of the varoma, I've got a carrot and some strips of red capsicum. It's asking me to put that in there. And then I've put my varoma on top. And then into the varoma, I've put on here on the tray, I've put some, gosh, I've lost it now, some corn. So this is you buy it in the can. It's the canned whole corn, and some broccoli. That's just going into there. and the broccoli, and I'm going to pop the lid on, and then that is going to cook for 10 minutes. So you can walk away and leave it, and that's cooking. So use your Varoma. It's great for adding extra to your meals. So while that's cooking, I think you're going somewhere else.
Fantastic. Thanks, Diane. We are. I'm just going to see how Kathy's doing. She's got her water on the go there, boiling.
Yeah, it's very, very close. So I'm going to be using the Varoma for the beetroot, and I'm going to use the bowl for the pasta. I love these recipes. The more things I can do at once, the better, because I don't have time for doing lots of individual things. So I love that I can combine all those things in one go, and this is perfect for that. Yeah, so it's just about ready, and then we're going to be what I also like to do on recipes like this is I like to preview. You can actually push the preview button, which is just up in the top corner. You can just skip ahead to the next couple of steps to prepare yourself, and then you can just pop back on the little bookmark tab that's up in the left-hand corner. That'll take you back to the step that you're already on, which is so perfect because you can just get yourself ready while it's doing other things, and it just ticks along really quickly, which is great. So I'm just going to put our broccoli, it's 150 grams of broccoli, into our Varoma dish. There we go. So our temp is up now. So we can move on to the next step. So I'm going to carefully move my simmering basket. And it says to add 80 grams of pasta, so I'm just going to pour that straight in. Yeah.
Kathy, is there any particular pasta that this dish requires, or could you use any shape?
It says macaroni, but you could use whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, I don't have enough. Or even if I mix it up, I put some of this one, some of the penne, and you just use what you've got. It's not going to change the flavour, which is, great to be able to do as well. So now I'm just asking for the Varoma to go on top. Put the broccoli, which is already in there. We're going to pop the lid on, and then that's just going to cook and steam away all together for 8 minutes.
Fantastic. We've just had a question pop up in the chat box that Kathy, you'll be able to help answer. How do you make your Varoma go without using a guided recipe?
You can use it in the manual settings.
Yeah, how do you do that? Lorraine's asking.
So you can just go to your main settings. I'll see if I can show you. I'll just come out of this, and you can just come here and you can just turn your dial to the Varoma setting all the way around to the top, all the way around, and it'll just come up as Varoma at the top. And then you can usually just put it on reverse blade if you need to. Depends if you've got anything in the bowl, it wouldn't really matter. If you've not got anything in the bowl, then you can just leave it going and you set your time to how long you need it for.
Fantastic. And the tip is having a bit of speed to push that steam up as well is really important. So at least a speed 2. And if you're wanting to cook a little bit faster and get that speed up, then speed 3 is pretty standard for Varoma. I'll throw it out to everybody here tonight. Does anyone know the temperature of the Varoma when it's steaming in the bowl? Any guesses?
Lee, I just point out, Lee, that in the back of the cookbook, it's a really good resource there for your steaming function. So when you are manually steaming with the Varoma, some really good tips there for times in the back of your book. So that's real for foods and fish and vegetables and fruit at the back. So use your basic cookbook.
Yeah, fabulous. Thanks, Diane. Love that you're sharing that. So we've had a few guesses coming in. 120, 160, 214. Wow, some really interesting things. So 114 degrees. So even though the Varoma setting is not is at the very top of the temperature dial, that would suggest that it's the hottest temperature. It's actually not. So 120 is the highest we can go into that manual mode. So 114 on Varoma is a little bit lower than that. And that is the optimum temperature to keep all the nutrients and the goodness into your food while you're steaming. So you're not going to overcook your veggies or dry out your chicken or fish. So yeah, 114 degrees. So love it. Love the questions coming in the chat box there. That's what we're here. We want to help you to answer those questions that you've got tonight. Fantastic. Thank you. We're going to whiz on over to Cynthia's kitchen next.
Hi there. Oh, no, I'm not joining audio. Sorry. I've got my audio on my other one, and it's just popped up asking me if I want to join with my audio on my phone. No, I don't. So welcome to my kitchen. I am going to be showing you how to do a spinach and ricotta patty. It's more of it's really a gnocchi recipe or a variation on that, and it comes with a tomato sauce as well. So I'm going to run you through that, and I'll just get started, but a little bit later while it's cooking, I'm just going to talk to you about a few other things. So we'll just get going. First thing to do is to grease your varoma dish and tray with oil. So I've just got that ready now, and that's all good to go. So we'll just put that aside and move on. So we are going to pop some parmesan in there. It seems to be a cheesy night tonight. Don't forget to tear your scales, always really important. So I have just got my cheese in here, 90 grams of parmesan cut into cubes, so it copes with quite big cubes. So we're just going to get that in there. And 1 to 2 pieces of lemon zest. So I've used some artistic license. I've got a little bit more than 1 to 2 pieces, and you just try and peel it so that you haven't got too much of the old pith on it, because it makes it a little bit bitter. So just there. And a great tool for doing that, the peeler out of the toolkit. Brilliant for peeling pith off lemons and any other sort of citrus. So we're just going to pop the lid on here and speed 10 for 7 seconds. It's probably just going to cut out. So, and it's going to be a little bit noisy if it doesn't. So wait a sec.
Cynthia's just mentioned the toolkit. I'm just going to pop the link in the chat box for that as well. So if you are keen to get your hands on a great peeler and some kitchen tools, the link is in there for you to check it out.
So it's made short work of that. Just going to pop that in a bowl. And just make sure it's seated in there again. 200 grams of baby spinach. Well, we don't have baby spinach in our garden, but we've got some rather large spinach that I've just cut down with the scissors out of the toolkit. And we're just going to put 200 grams of spinach in there. It really doesn't matter what size it is, because it's going to chop it down to size anyway. So right, a bit short. Maybe a sec. I've got a little bit left here. There we go. There must have been a bit of water in my bowl. So I'll just pop it on there. 5 seconds, speed 6.
I think this is a recipe I need to make, Cynthia. I've got 3 bags of spinach from my wonky box that's just built up in my fridge. I think this would be a good one to use up a lot of it.
Yeah,
and a great way to get 5+ a day in.
I'm actually just going to, because it was big leaves, it didn't mulch down quite as much. So I'm just going to, probably should have used my spatula. I'll just give it another wee whiz and show you what you can do with it. So I'm just going to reverse back and pop my spatula in there, and we'll do speed 6, but we might not have quite as long. Here we go. So if you've got slightly bigger stuff, or you've got quite a big bowl and you're wanting to smush it down, the collar here stops it from hitting the blades, and you can use that to move stuff around. So that's done a much better job. So we will just scrape the sides down of the mixing bowl. Right. And we're going to do it again. Speed 4 this time. Size down.
Poor old Rosalind's had an incident with her dog. Has got to her spatula. So I've just popped the link in the chat box for you there, Rosalind.
Yeah.
There's a good variety of spatulas that we have available too. There's some long skinny ones that one of the team might be able to show us tonight as well, and how that gets used.
There we go, and speed 4 again. And then we're going to add the ricotta, and those of you who are on my social would have seen some of me making that last night. It's right here, and it's the longer you let it sit, the thicker it gets. There we go, and we'll just pop that in. So 250 grams of ricotta.
Cynthia, was it your Facebook business page that you went live for your ricotta?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll share the link. So if anyone wants to go and check that out, they can go and have a watch at a later date.
A pinch of salt.
And give Cynthia a little follow and a like while you're there.
Some nutmeg. I don't actually like nutmeg in my ricotta and stuff, so my gnocchi. So I'm just going to get to the pepper. And egg. So I've made gnocchi before, but this is the first time making this recipe. I go by a wing and a prayer sometimes, knowing that these recipes are triple tested, and they hardly ever fail. So I'm hoping that's the case. I don't know if anyone else here has made this recipe before, but it's a pretty standard gnocchi type recipe, so I felt pretty confident that it would be fine. So I've just added the parmesan and lemon mixture as well into there, and then we will try not to share the screen. Pop the lid on and give it a mix. Hang on a minute. But sometimes I get a bit of a brain fart and I forget to see what number I'm meant to be turning it to, and I like to be able to see the number, but it will stop you usually. It's the odd recipe where it doesn't stop you at the point where it's meant to, but most of them do. So it's doing reverse for a speed 4 for about 10 seconds, and that's just going to mix it all up together. And I'll just show you what that looks like. Break it down.
What a great colour.
It makes a pretty good volume, actually, of given that this is for 2, this is like 1 meal for 2. So you certainly won't be hungry afterwards, I don't think. It's quite a big amount of mixture. And what we're going to do is pop tablespoons of that onto the tray. So what I might do is just get most of it out of the and pop it into a bowl. And then I'll do this off screen, but
Cynthia, we'll leave you to put your tablespoon amounts on, and we might just whiz over to Kathy. I saw her waving around one of our long spatulas, so she can show everybody while you do that. There she is.
Hello. Yes, I found my one. I normally have it out, but it was hiding in the dishwasher and I didn't see it. I love this. This is like always my go-to. Unless I need this for something, I generally will use this one because it just gets in and around the blades a little bit closer, because you can just get right under there and right underneath them. I made some cookies with my daughter yesterday and it just gets all the dough out, because you could get right down into that little crevice right beside the blades and just scoop everything out. So it's just the best one. I saw it a couple of times on other people who are consultants, they were using. I was like, I have to get that. I have to get that. And it is so worth it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And they come in a range of colours as well. So if
so many colours.
Not your jam.
Yeah, it's nice and bright, so it sits down in my drawer, so I can always find it.
Yeah, I love it. There's a beautiful lime green and also the classic sort of Thermomix grey. So if you want it to match all your other accessories, and it comes
some people like that.
Well. Yeah, very cool. I've got a couple in my kitchen. I use them, and they're great for licking as well. When you've been doing all your cake back, and they're a great licking spatula. They're very appealing. If you're a spatula licker like I am, you'll love the long. So lovely. All right, thanks for sharing that, Kathy. That's awesome. I think Cynthia's busy getting her mixture out. Cynthia, would you like to show us what you're doing with that mix there? If I just come back to you real quick. You're just on mute.
All good. So yeah, I'm just getting a tablespoon of mixture, and I've just wet my gloves, and I'm just sort of making, they're reasonably big patties. It says it makes 15, which is a huge amount, really. You wouldn't probably need that many for a meal. There we go. So I'm just placing them just so they're not touching, but reasonably close. And we're going to pop some in the varoma and some in the tray. And there's probably enough room for about 5 in the bottom, and then the rest will need to go on the top. So that is what we're doing here.
We've had a great question in the chat box come up from Clarissa. She's asking if you could freeze the patties. What do you reckon, Cynthia?
I'm not sure that you would freeze them uncooked, but they'd certainly freeze cooked and heat. I think they'd probably heat up okay. It's quite a wet mixture. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and having a bit of the flour
in it that wouldn't freeze, but they'd just be, yeah, you'd have to be careful to make sure they're free flowing and flat, and yeah.
Has anybody frozen raw gnocchi mixture? Have you got any advice for Clarissa there around there?
I don't see why you couldn't.
Be one to Google.
Yeah.
I know the like store-bought gnocchi is quite processed, and I know that can be frozen as a raw product, but yeah, not too sure. But free flow them, like Cynthia said. Yeah, some things you just got to try, hey?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm just shove you over. Right. So I'm probably going to, I think there's more than my tray will handle here. So I'll make what I normally do with gnocchi is I have my second tray. I'm fortunate enough to have 2 Thermomixes. So I use my second tray for loading up and having ready to go for a second round of steaming. And that works really well. So they are ready to go. and I'll get on to the sauce. So, and while that first bit's cooking, I'll talk to you a little bit about how to make your own ricotta. So we're just going to grab 1 brown onion, quartered, so cut up in quite big pieces. And I haven't washed the bowl, it hasn't asked me to. Nice recipe. 1 clove of garlic, no such thing.
Yeah,
and
team garlic. Who's team garlic? Yeah, thumbs up. Those recipes say 1 clove. Yeah, right.
I never put the whole amount of olive oil in. I always only put about 5 or 10 grams in, just because I don't want that much fats in my cooking. So we're just going to pop the lid on and blitz it, speed 8 for 4 seconds. And scrape down the sides. I'll just show you what that looks like. It's literally done a pretty good job of blitzing it. And then we're going to place the simmering basket instead of a mixing cup on the bowl. And we're going to cook for 3 minutes at barometer temperature, speed 1, just normal rotation. So last night when I made my ricotta, I used you can use any milk. I use a reduced fat milk. I think it just affects the yield that you get from it. I don't know what it looks like with whole milk because I've never used whole milk to make my ricotta. So that's what I think happens. And all you need to do is you cook your milk for about a few minutes. I think it's about 10 minutes. And then you add some vinegar, a small amount of vinegar to it, and let it sit for around about a minute. And then I think there might have been another short cook, and then you pour it into over a jug into your simmering basket with your nut milk bag in it to catch the curds and to separate the whey and curds out, and let it drain. So you want to make sure that it's raised above where the whey is collecting, and you can pour that off into a separate container and keep that, set that aside for using for things like smoothies or scones, some other, you can use it in any baking as a replacement for milk, really. It just means it's going to be lower fat and lower in fat. And the longer you let the curd sit, the less moisture it's going to have and the thicker it's going to be. So it's a great way to save time or save money anyway. And it's literally the cost of a bottle of milk. Usually about 250 grams of ricotta costs between $4.50 and $6, depending on where you get it from and what make and model you get. And a bottle of milk costs, well, most recipes use about 1.5 litres. So a litre of milk or 2 litres of milk is what, about $4.50, I think, isn't it? $4.70? I can't remember. Less than the cost of a 250 gram packet of ricotta anyway. Yeah, so that certainly is cost
and
effective.
The texture, it just doesn't compare. Like the store-bought stuff is very dried out. The fresh ricotta is so much more creamy and much nicer on the palate as well. So it's definitely worth the effort. I've not made it before. I think, Cynthia, can we just quickly whiz over to Kathy's kitchen? I'm not sure if she's actually there. I think she might be helping sort of kids and then come
just finished. So the cook's just finished here, so is Kathy back?
I am.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to
Yeah.
run after my daughter, but
No,
I'm
worries.
back. I'm back.
I'll just whiz over to Kathy and come back to you in a second. Sorry, Cynthia. Just mindful of her pasta is cooked.
Yes,
Got another
it is.
do.
Yeah, so it said to pop it in a thermoserver bowl, so I've done that. So it's been sitting in my thermoserver, which is another great thing to get from the mix shop. So handy. I got one when I became a consultant, which was a little while ago, and I love it. I use it all the time. It's so good for keeping things hot or things really, really cold. I haven't tried things really cold yet, but it's perfect for keeping dinner warm for like hubby if he's coming home a bit later, or if you're cooking rice and then you're wanting to make your curry or something and you're going to do them separately. It's so good for that, so it stays nice and warm and you can eat it together. So yeah, that's in there, and my oven's preheating. Did you want me to continue, Leo, or do you want to jump over to Sue?
Yeah, I think is it a 6-minute cook? What's happening the next step?
It's just making the sauce and then cooking it. Yeah.
Yep. So if you want to do step 6.
Yep.
That'd be wonderful. Done a great job there, Kathy. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to just grab my bowl again. Need a quick clean after the pasta. Which actually, to be fair, I actually use my clean mode because why not just jump out of your recipe and hop into clean mode and then off you go. Makes a nice little easy way to do it. So just popping a little bit of butter, just 10 grams of butter, some plain flour, it's just 1 tablespoon.
Essentially, it's a cheese sauce that you're doing now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, it's just a
the
cheese
ingredients
sauce.
in.
It has got some other spices in there which I've never used before, but sound really nice. It's got a bit of mustard powder, nutmeg, and paprika. We've got some milk, which I'm using my little yogurt pot. So I was like, that's a quite a handy little one to use. So versatile for so many different things. Some nutmeg. And some mustard powder. If I can get into this. Sorry, it doesn't want to open. Half a teaspoon of mustard powder, which is always nice in a cheese sauce. It just gives it a really nice flavour. And some salt. This one is up to your choice. You can either have half a teaspoon or a whole teaspoon. It's up to you how salty you like it. Same with the pepper, which is quite nice. I like it when those recipes have those options, so it's not just a set flavour. And now we're just going to pop the lid on. For 6 minutes on speed 1, and it's going up to 90 degrees to make our cheese sauce. Off it goes.
Fantastic. I love that hands-free cheese sauce making. It's one of my most favorite things.
Yeah, I hated
Who's
doing
making
it over the pot. It was the worst, having to sit there and stir it and not have it burn on the bottom. Yeah, I love this. It's so much better. There's some really great mac and cheese recipes that make bulk as well that you can freeze for lunches or like 2 dinners, which I use all the time, and they make perfect cheese sauce every time. It's so good.
Yeah, super handy, aren't they? Righty, I'm going to whiz on over. Thanks, Kathy. Going to whiz on over and spotlight Diane. We'll just come back to see how she's getting on with her beef stir-fry bowl.
So my veggies have just cooked. So the broccoli and the corn on the top, and the capsicum and the carrot in the bottom of the varoma. So they're all cooked now, and I'm going to pop those into my thermoserver to keep them hot. And the rice is cooked. So the beauty is, getting the rice out of your thermoserver. Use the hook on your spatula and just hook it in, lift it up, and then the lid should open, and I'll pop that rice into this thermoserver. So the thermoserver, whoops, it's come off that. I've got it. There you go. The white thermoserver is a great one. It's a little bit smaller than the 2.6 litre one, but this is available as a host reward. So these are great additions to your kitchen. So You just want me to stop there now, Lee, and then you'll get back to me for the veggies?
Yeah, I think, have you got step 3? Where are you up to, Diane? Are you chopping and got a cook?
I'm caught up to where I'm up to. I'm doing the beef later, you said. Unless you want me to add it and get it cooked. It's just a matter of...
We'll come back to you. I think we'll come back to you. We'll head on back over to Cynthia's kitchen now that you've popped those through. Thank you, Diane.
Hi there. So I have just added my tomatoes into my container, along with some oregano and salt and pepper. And I'm just going to pop in some vegetable stock. So this is my homemade veggie stock, and I'm just about at the bottom of the jar, so I'm going to have to make some more. I always keep my offcuts of my root vegetables and the brassicas and all that sort of stuff for using in my stocks, and it's a huge saving instead of buying the store-bought ones. It's over $100 in savings, so it's well worth making your own. So we just pop in the varoma on. It's got our gnocchi, patty, whatever you want to call them, in there, and it's going to cook for 13 minutes at varoma temperature and speed 1. Over to you, I think, Lou.
Thanks, Cynthia. I think we're going to head on over to Sue's kitchen. She's hanging there, waiting in the wings. Hi, Sue.
Hi, yes, I have been hanging around in the wings too, but it's been fun watching everybody cook. So tonight I'm making steamed pistachio cheesecakes with mango, and the recipe calls for 4, serves 4, but I made an executive decision, so I made a couple this afternoon just so I could see what they turned out like, and the other 2 I'm going to make tonight. So,
and nobody's going to judge you if anyone wants to eat 2 cheesecakes. If you're making 4, go crazy.
I'll have 4, won't I? Yeah. But I also made the ricotta for the cheesecake today, and I used full cream milk, and the ricotta's come out perfect. So, yeah, I don't think it matters what milk you use. So first of all, I'm going to crunch up the pistachios, because I have to line the bowls with the pistachio and then make the cheesecake filling.
Could you use a different nut for this, do you think, Sue, if you didn't have pistachios? No, he can't hear me. She's chopping her nuts. She's got all the sound going on.
So loud.
What did you say? Yeah, you're right. Your machine there. That's all right. I was just saying, could you use a different nut, do you think? If you didn't have pistachios on hand, what else could you use? Yeah.
I thought that today when I made the first lot. So it's really munched them up quite a bit.
Yeah, so powerful, aren't they?
So I'll put those in that. So what I have to do, so this afternoon I made the 2 in ramekin pots, and they came out a little bit flat. So now I'm going to do the Dario mold one, and to get a bit of height. But the other thing, and one of the tips, and the tips of the recipe, is to line the container with Glad wrap. And so this afternoon I did both. I did one with Glad wrap and one without. And the one with Glad wrap did come out much easier, and also the nuts tended to stick to the edges better. So that was just an experiment I did. So basically,
great tip.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a good learning.
Always learning with Thermomix, aren't we? So
for sure. yeah, that looks quite good.
Just pop the link for those Dariel molds in the chat box as well. So many great uses to use though.
I also see they've actually lined quite nicely. So it said degrees it quite heavily, so I did that. So done that step. I've done that step too. Okay, now the next lot of pistachios are for adding for sprinkles on the top afterwards. And what I found in the first time that I did it this afternoon, it didn't chop up very well. So I'm going to probably do it a little bit longer this time. Or increase the speed rather. Oh, see, it only goes for 1 second. Might do 3.
That's the great thing, being able to manually adjust things, like still using your smarts and your cooking knowledge when you need to.
My facials must look terrible when I do that. Oh, it's so loud.
Yeah,
Keep the blade cover peeler on or the blade cover on when you're doing just a little bit in the bottom chopping. It stops it flying all up the sides of your bowl too, Sue.
Okay, so that's for leftovers. And I don't have to clean my bowl. Now, so we want some mint leaves from the garden, lime zest, corn flour, not much, it's only a small quantity, about half a tablespoon, I think. A little bit of raw sugar, not much, quite good cooking for 2, doesn't take a lot of ingredients. And we've got a 15-second, another loud one. Now, I don't know how much you do with milling, but I use I do a lot of milling because I make my own gluten-free bread and I mill the rice when I'm making it. And so it mills the sugar, the caster sugar, icing sugar, rice. My recipe requires chickpea flour, so I can mill the chickpeas, so I don't have to buy chickpea flour. I had some dehydrated orange rind. A friend had tried to mill them in her own little food processor and it didn't work. She remembered that I had the Thermomix, so she brought it around. We did it in a couple of seconds and it just crunched it up into fine powder, which is what this has done now. We'll just do another session.
So while you do that, I'm just going to whiz over to Kathy's kitchen. I'll just pop you on mute. I don't know if I can mute. Can you mute yours, Sue, just while you do the step, and I'll just come over to Kathy. Thank you. We'll just replace the spotlight there. Kathy's got her cheese sauce all ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to add. It's finished doing the basic cook. We're just going to add a bit of our cheese from earlier. I love that you can just add a little bit in, just weighs it. It's about 70 grams. Yeah. There we go. So now we're going to put the lid back on. That's it's going to continue to make our cheese. So it's going to mix just for a minute. And then we're going to be combining it all. I'm just going to look next. Yep, so now it's going to say to add the reserved the pasta and the broccoli. And we're going to do a mix again. So it's actually going to mix it all in the bowl, which is even better. So much easier. And then we're just going to pop it into the dish to bake it with the last little bit of cheese on top, I think. So that's just going to go for a minute.
Fantastic. Can you just give me a thumbs up when your sauce is finished so that we can just see the consistency of that on camera? That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll just whiz back over to Sue. Whizzing around all the kitchens tonight. Awesome. Oops, Sue's disappeared. Well, head on over to Diane. I think she's ready to crack on with her next steps. Oh, no, there we go. There's Sue.
Oh, I'm just off.
ready. You're still on mute, Sue. I think she's got a cream cheese from the fridge.
Yeah, I've forgot the cream cheese.
Important to keep that in the fridge. You don't want it going all melty and warm.
75, I think I have to do.
And the great thing about those scales, you're just putting things in as you go. No need for measuring cups. It's a great time saver, isn't it?
Is my ricotta? Looks very similar to Cynthia's ricotta. Egg.
We've just had a question in the chat box from Lorraine asking about the best gluten-free bread recipe, and I know Sue's favorite is the chia seed and pepita bread. She uses that a lot, being gluten-free herself. Then cookie do, Lorraine, if you have a little look for it. If you can't find it, sing out. Fabulous.
Okay, my next step, Lee, is going to be 3 minutes.
Fantastic. We'll whiz over to Diane. So that's the cheesecake mixture that you've got all there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And then what's it going to do next? So just
Then
tell us.
I'll pour it into the molds, and
Okay.
then I'll put it into the Varoma.
Fabulous. All right. We'll come back to you when you got them in the molds and all set, ready to come off. We'll whiz on over to Diane. She's ready to crack on to her next steps.
I've got the cheese sauce ready to put it too.
Okay. I'll go to Kathy first. Stand by, team.
Okay. This is our cheese sauce. It's really, really cheesy and stringy. It looks delicious. Yeah. So that's just going to mix now with our other ingredients, and then I'll go into the dish ready to go into the oven for baking.
Fantastic. Looks good. That's one spatula I would look forward to looking at the cooking for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathy. Right, over to Diane. Waiting patiently there.
Basic cookbook again is your chia and pepita. So anyone who hasn't tried that, even though it is gluten free, it's still a really nice loaf to make. So a really good one. So in the basic cookbook, easy to find. So I've got the vegetables in the thermoservers, just keeping cool. So all I'm going to do now is just add a bit of sesame oil, a teaspoon of sesame oil, and just a garlic and some ginger in there. Garlic and ginger. And it's just going to chop. Isn't it amazing chopping in your Thermomix? It's so quick. And it's asking for the simmering basket on the top. A little bit of rice in it. And that's going to cook for 2 minutes. And then what's going to happen after that, I'm going to add in the beef that's been cooking. So it seems like I've been cooking for ages, but honestly, there's only a few minutes cooking. When I did the veggies, I forgot to point out that often I find they need a little bit longer cooking, and I make this recipe quite a bit. So I always allow another couple of minutes, and then I also turn the speed up a little bit, like Len mentioned earlier. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to cook those veggies and the garlic and the ginger, and then add the meat. And that's about all there is to it.
Fantastic. Top job. Thanks, Diane. Great tips that you're sharing there. Alrighty, we'll whiz on over back to Sue's kitchen. Got your dairy molds all filled?
No, it's still cooking.
Still cooking,
I've got
okay.
1 minute and 15 seconds left.
Okay, no worries. How are you doing over there, Cynthia? Is yours
Cooking
all
the
done?
cream cheese and the egg. And then it blends it.
Fabulous.
Great timing. Great timing. It's just sung to me. So the recipe is calling for always remember with the varoma that when you take the lid off, you open it away from you and use the lid as a shelf so that it catches the drips. So I'm just going to pop that aside. And the smell is amazing. This is now calling for me to blitz the sauce, and I'll just show you what it looks like before I do that. So it's cooked down really nicely. It looks lovely and thick. And we'll just find the mixing cup lids. Yeah, and it's going to blitz for 10 seconds, speed 7.
I love that in the tips. It's
Winding up.
Yeah, your sound is cut out. In the tips for this recipe, it does suggest using the leftover sauce, if you have any, as a bit of a base for your pizzas. So I thought that was quite handy to know if you're wanting to use that.
It's
That
a
was
really
very
lovely thick sauce. It's only really got tomatoes, onion, and garlic in it, hasn't it? So and it's probably using because I didn't clean the bowl, there's a little bit of leftover patty mixture in there, so it's probably got a little bit of that as a thickening sort of agent as well. So I'll just show you what this looks like. And did you want me to crack on and just do the cocktail now as well, Lee, or?
I think we'll just head back to Sue, I think. Sue, how much time have you got to go?
Okay, I've just got to blend this for 10 seconds and then I'm pouring it into the Dario molds.
Okay, fantastic. We'll come over to you and see how that happens. A lot of these recipes have got such short times that we're whizzing around lots of kitchens throughout those processes while it's blending and mixing. Kathy's just sent me a message. She's put her cheese sauce together with her pasta and her broccoli, and she's just popped that into her oven now to have a bit of a bake and get that beautiful browning happening on her 3 cheese pasta bake. We'll be able to see all these dishes at the end shortly.
Oh, am I on?
You're on, so we're watching you. Having
just
a scrape down with your long spatula.
Okay. We're going into the Dario molds now. What's quite good about this recipe, it doesn't make huge volume, and yeah, quite good if you just want something sweet at the end.
Not a whole lot of sugar in this recipe either. It was
No,
only 30
that's what I like
things.
about
which is,
that. Yeah.
If you're watching your sugar intake, 30 grams across 4 portions isn't a whole lot. And of course, as always with Thermomix, you can adjust it to suit your taste. So if you do want to use a substitute instead of sugar, you could use your allulose or your sweeteners, quite easily. You can mill those down just as well as regular sugar or raw sugars.
That's exactly right.
I love
like
that
it.
Creamy consistency. It looks so smooth.
Yeah, it's really nice. Right, at this point I can talk about having okay, right. I need to them in my, we've all used aromas today.
Yes, we've had a few Varoma dishes tonight. It's great. And Varoma is probably the least used accessory that consultants here. So it's great that we'll be able to showcase a lot of those recipes tonight.
Now, I've only just had my second bowl for about 3 weeks, and I have used it. Every time I've cooked, I've used my second bowl. How amazing that I managed for a year without one. So this, I don't need to brush off and clean my bowl. I just need to add in the water.
If you haven't got a second bowl blade lid set for your Thermomix, there is a great way to get one this month. So would you like to share with everybody how people can get their hands on a second bowl blade lid set?
Absolutely. I'll just get this.
Concentrating there with your hot water.
Yeah, I'm concentrating on my scales. Wonder I didn't poke my tongue out because I use my tongue for concentrating. There we go. Oh, that feels so light. Okay, now that takes 20 minutes. It's not very noisy, so that's good. So if you're keen on getting your hands on the second bowl, a really good way this month, right up until the 30th of April, is hosting a cooking experience. And if someone at your cooking experience buys a machine, then you can get a second bowl blade and lid for $99 instead of $370. I think you save over $250 if you get it that way. So such a really good incentive. Yeah, it's I've really found the benefits of it, having two bowls.
What have you found the benefits of having the second one? So what's been great for you as a new owner of two? You mentioned not having to wash
tonight was a great example. Certainly when I'm demonstrating here, I needed another bowl. I would have had to have gone away and washed my bowl out. Secondly, when I did my ricotta, I was making my bread at the same time. So it was really nice to be able to just swap them in and out. Yeah, I've definitely been great.
Fantastic. And of course, having that cooking demo is an opportunity to learn more and just get all those tips and tricks from your consultant, use some of those functions that maybe you haven't been using before, and help some friends and or family members to know more about Thermomix as well. If they haven't got one in their kitchen yet, it's a great way for them to see how they could be saving some time and energy in their kitchen. So think about who you know and who you could help, and get your consultant around either in person or virtually. We would love to come and cook with you and help you to get that host reward as well. So we're going to whiz on over to Cynthia's kitchen. Thanks, so great job there. We'll leave you to steam away your cheesecakes. I'm just going to bring up the spotlight back in Cynthia's kitchen. She has got a very special cocktail all ready to whiz through.
Yeah, so welcome. I'm making a sizzling jalapeno cocktail. Not one I've tried before, and again, I have not made this ever, so this is the first time. I love it how we wing it, Lee. Don't you love the cookie do recipes? And knowing that they're triple tested, and generally speaking, they usually work. I am going to start with 45 grams of gin. So make sure your scales are tiered. And then we're going to add 15 grams of lime juice squeezed, and limes are quite expensive. So I've just got some store-bought lime juice, which keeps pretty well in the fridge. Some ginger beer. Some agave syrup. So this is an alternative sweetener to sugar syrup. You could use sugar syrup if you wanted to. But because I've got it, I'm going to use it. and 1 fresh jalapeno de-stemmed and de-seeded. That is quite a lot of jalapeno. Given that I touched my tongue with my finger last night when I had sliced these little babies to put in the freezer and went, oh, that's quite spicy. So I'm just going to put half a jalapeno in here because it actually only makes 1 drink. So we will just chuck some in there. And de-seeded and de-stemmed, obviously. And then 5 ice cubes. So these have been sitting out for a while. So I'm just going to use some artistic license and maybe a little bit more than that in there. And then pop the lid on and let's it 10 seconds speed 4.
Has anybody ever made a cocktail with jalapenos before?
No. Now
No, me either. I'm really intrigued.
pour into ice cold glasses with some garnish. So I've had these glasses in the freezer and I've just dusted the lip with some caster sugar. And it smells pretty good. Here we go. So 2 wee cocktails, nice and easy. And we can garnish with some finely diced jalapeno. Well, it's just going to slide in, I think, but that's okay. And you can pop a wedge of lime if you would like to buy some at exorbitant cost at the moment, or unless you're lucky enough to actually grow them. So that is the jalapeno cocktail.
It looks amazing. Even a little wedge of lemon would be nice if you don't want to buy those limes, I think. Delicious.
Oh yeah, it's got a little bit of a kick.
Fantastic. You're a brave lady here. I love that you've given that recipe a good crack.
Oh, you've got
well
to give it a go, eh? I'm just going to go and deliver the other one to my husband.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure he'll enjoy that. While you're delivering that, we're going to whiz on over to Diane's kitchen. She's finished off with her beef there.
Yeah, so it's all cooked. So I just wanted to show you just how it's really hard to see the colour. But yeah, that meat is cooked. The sauce, the marinade has gone through. It just smells absolutely divine. So I'm just going to mix that on top of the vegetables, and then that's all ready to be served with the rice. So it's about 35 minutes cooking time, but only about 15 minutes hands-on time. So a really good, fast recipe to make for 2, 4 or 6.
Yeah, I love it. We also have this recipe often, and the biggest thing for me is the cost saver. If we were to get that at the local Chinese, we're looking at around $24 for one main Chinese meal, and I know that I can certainly make that for our family really easily. A quick weeknight dinner for 2, or a little romantic night in. You could have your jalapeno sizzler and your beef stir fry. Yeah, amazing.
Definitely not the jalapenos for me, but yeah, definitely. It's one of our fake away Friday meals, really, because I haven't dished it up, but I mean that's looking pretty lovely.
Yeah, fantastic. We'll come back and see all the dishes shortly. We've got another cocktail on the horizon. I think Kathy, if she's there, I know she's popping kids to bed. There she is. Hello, Kathy. Whizzing in.
No, child is abed. She's asleep now, I think. I haven't heard from her, so fingers crossed. No, I was just checking on the pasta bake, just giving it a bit of a turn. So I know my oven gets a bit funny when it cooks sometimes, so I don't want it burnt on one side. But I'm actually going to be making a chocolate affogato, which sounds a bit like me. I like chocolate. It's a cocktail. And hey, there's ice cream in it. So it's basically a dessert, The cool thing about this one was when I was on Cookie Dough, it actually said you could scale down the recipe And a little tip that I learned from one of our other consultants that's on tonight is that sometimes you have to do that on your phone first on Cookie Dough, because it didn't actually appear on the machine. It said I could scale it on my phone in Cookie Dough, but it didn't automatically appear on the machine. So I just did it on my phone, imported it, so it just comes up as an imported recipe, even though it's still done by Cookie Dough, and I could adjust it to just being 2 servings rather than 4, because 4's a bit much on a Thursday night and I still got to go to work tomorrow. So I just adjusted it to be for 2. So it's just one for me, one for hubby. And yeah, we're gonna give that a try tonight. So it's gonna come up a little bit different on my screen because it's gonna be like a created recipe, which is kind of cool. You guys get to see that a little bit. So it's gonna ask me to place in the chocolate. So I can just go to my little scales button. And it says put in the chocolate, which is just 10 grams of chocolate. It has said specifically 70% cocoa solids as well. So I just got a smaller block of that. And now I can just go to my little blade, and it's already preset with the speed and the time. So I'm just going to turn that around to speed 10. It's going to be a little bit noisy, but just for 10 seconds. I'll be real quick. So now I'm just going to exit that mode and push the little arrow to go to the next step. And oh, that smells delicious. There's our grated chocolate. So now it's asked me actually, because I read this before, to then put this onto a plate. So we're just going to sprinkle that down onto the plate.
Is this for the rim of the glass? Are we
It
doing
is, yeah. It's just for the rim of the glass. It's not something I've done before with my cocktails. I've done a few, but not that. So it's going to be interesting. Yep. So now I'm going to put my glasses into a bit of water.
And the base of the thermoservers are perfect for this job. You can put a little bit of water in there and then dunk it into because they're nice and shallow.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. I've done that. Not very good at this, obviously. This is obviously my first time. I got a little bit on there. And the chocolate's a little bit warm too, so it hasn't grated as well as it probably could have, but that's okay. We make it work.
For the presentation, don't worry too much.
Yeah,
you're doing a great
there
job.
you go. Okay, and now we're just going to pop. Don't have to clean my bowl. Leave leftover chocolate in there. Delicious. And now we're just going to pop in the milk. So I'm going to go back to my scales. So now it just says to add in the milk.
While you're grabbing your milk, Rosalind's just asking why her cookie dough is not showing the chocolate affogato. This particular recipe is from one of our UK and Ireland collections. So if you find that you can't find a recipe, go into your filters and just check what countries you have selected. And I will be sharing cookie dough screen shortly, so I'll be able to show you how that's possible.
Yeah. Now it's just got 25 grams of cocoa powder. You can just push the tear button between everyone, or you can just keep going and just add it up as you go. Just a little tip when you're adding powder and the liquid hasn't covered the blaze, try to just tip it around the side so you don't get it sitting on top, because it depends on how it mixes sometimes. As to you want all the stuff all mixed together. Now just 15 grams of caster sugar. And now we're going to go to the blade. So now we're going to do 15 seconds of speed 4. Put it on. There's actually 2 different ones, so we're going to do this one first. And then I can just go back to the manual setting again and see what it says to do next. I can just close that one. So it says submit to the mixing bowl for 15 seconds at speed 4. And now I'm going to heat it for 3 minutes. I'm going to tap on my blade again and tap the one that says 3 minutes. So it's 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and it's going to heat it to 70 degrees. And check all that's down. I'm going to push it all down here. It's looking nice, really chocolatey. Just going to go all down, so we all want that deliciousness all to mix in. So now it's going to heat it and cook it. I've never done one like this before, so it's quite cool. So it's on speed 2. It's just going to cook away now.
Fantastic. Hands-free cocktail making. I love that.
I know.
While that's cooking, I'm going to do a bit of a screen share and just bring Cookie Dough up on my screen for you. If you just mute yourself, Kathy, that'd be amazing. Thank you. I'm just going to bring up the right page. And then who can I see? Sue, can you give me a thumbs up? You can see Cookie Dough there. Can everyone see Cookie Dough? Yep, wonderful, thank you. So Cookie Dough, you can use the app as we know, and if you don't know, then you can download the Cookie Dough official app and have a free trial for 30 days. You can also use it on desktop, which is what I'm doing here on my screen tonight. And I just want to share a few tips around how to find recipes, especially for cooking for 2 people or smaller portions, some great places to look. And if you have any troubleshooting, how you can use some of those filters and things as well. So coming into the main search function here, the landing page, if you come over here, you can use the keywords of cooking for 2. And depending on what your default settings are, you're going to get a whole selection here of recipes. Now, it's really important that you come over to your filters, look at the country selection down the bottom here, because this may inhibit where you're actually looking. When you first get a Thermomix, the default setting is Australia. So you're only going to have the ability to find recipes in Australia. My suggestion is to untick Australia and go worldwide and then select English. So that's going to give you a bigger opportunity to capture more recipes. If you're fortunate enough to have another language, then you can absolutely select those other languages in there as well and go worldwide with your search when you're looking for recipes. One of the other things that you can also do is come over to your filters and select how many portions you want. So if you're just cooking for 2 people, you'll see here my worldwide 2 portions. It's going to bring me up some results there. So that's one way to be finding some recipes. And you can use ingredients. You can put in tags. If you've got special dietary requirements, you can put in here gluten-free. You know, there's all other factors that you can also put into what your needs for your household is. So you can use those tags there. Cooking for 2 is a tag, so a lot of recipes will have that already preset in there, and then you can pop in the type of recipe that you're looking for. So if you're wanting to, you know, start with a lovely starter at the beginning of the night, if you're having a romantic night in with your significant other, or if it's just a weeknight meal and you want something super quick and under 30 minutes, you can use those filters there as well. So don't be afraid to jump into your filters. It's also worth noting that if you come over to your settings and into the account here, you can set your default searches. So coming over here, then we want to go down into, where are we? Sorry, not into account. We want to go into profile. So go into your profile and then scroll on down here and go into update your filters. And this is going to set your preset. So every time you go in to look for something, you'll have those settings there. You won't have to manually change your countries and your language options and things. So that will save it there for you. So do your defaults, otherwise go into your Explorer and use those filters as well. One of the other really neat things is when you're searching for something, you can come over here and use the little magnifying glass to start searching. And rather than looking for a particular recipe for 2 people, you can arrow down and click on collections. And if I go into here and put cooking for 2, it's going to bring up a whole lot of collections. Oh, it's not giving me all the ones I want TM6 taken off. Why is it not giving me all? Cooking for 2. I had a lot more selections come up earlier, I think, because I've got some defaults set maybe. I've got something in my search. I'll just clear out my search there, go home, come back over to my search engine, collections. There's actually quite a few collections that we can have cooking for two. I think maybe even I typed in 2. There we go. That's better. So using the word 2, not cooking for 2, because some of them are table for 2 or just for 2. So just type in 2 in collections and you'll see that there's quite a few collections that are specifically for, smaller quantities. So that's a great way to do it. So you've even got date night there, and then a few others. This one is especially popular for me when it's just me and my husband, or just a recipe that I want to make a smaller amount for and then save some for lunch the next day, or pop into the freezer for another serving. So use your collections there. And then once you've found a recipe as well, so we have sort of touched on how to scale a particular recipe. So let's just say we want to find a pasta dish. Use my filters. You could put in what you're wanting to do. Say spaghetti carbonara. Some of the recipes do have the default. So this has already got 4 portions. So you can go into the default setting there and move it to 2 portions. And it automatically reduces the quantities for that set amount of portions. If it doesn't have a default, what you can do is I'll just find another recipe and just click on the first thing that pops up. Could find this one here. It's got 4 portions. Here, it doesn't have that default setting like the carbonara did. You can actually make it your own. And so you can import this into your created recipes here. And then you can start to edit it as you need to. So you just use the little editing pen here. And you can go across and then start to, we have got some default settings here. We could go across and edit those amounts and, put them in manually for 2 portions or, different amounts there, and then save it. And then it will go into your created collections. So that's just a little bit of a surface level of what you can be doing in Cookie Do there. We do also have a deep dive session that's coming up. Every month we have a Cookie Do session online where you can jump in and you'll see the consultants converting some of those recipes in great detail. You'll see them importing their own recipes and cooking them guided step by step on the machine as well. So it's a great way just to learn some more of that process. And of course you can reach out to your consultant and have a one-on-one session with them, or get together and have half an hour together before a cooking experience with 2 friends. So that's another way to learn how to do that. I will put the details of our next Cookie Do session in the chat box, and we'll whiz back to Kathy, who I think is probably just about ready to move on with the next steps of the affogato.
Yep, I've just got my ice cream out ready. So now it's asking to add in the brandy, which I've measured. So yeah, it just says 20 grams of brandy. Add that in there. And now we're going to mix that just for 5 seconds on speed 3. Speed 8. That's it, 5 seconds, so quick. So now we're going to get our glasses, and it says to transfer to the garnish glasses. I have to guesstimate this one. And then we're going to add the ice cream on top. Smells so deliciously chocolatey. I love it. Never done this before. It's going to be interesting to see. So it says about 200 grams of ice cream, but it just says 1 scoop. Okay, so I don't want to splish everywhere. Go. Don't want to ruin my chocolatiness either. There we go. So that's still quite warm. So it's just going to melt the chocolate, or the chocolate's just going to melt the ice cream and make it all nice and creamy, which will just be delicious.
Yeah, that's really good. Thanks, Kathy. Fantastic. Just want to see that registration seems to be for tonight, 18th. Okay, stand by. I'll see if I can find another registration link for that. If not, if you jump onto the thermomix.co.nz website, the regular online classes are listed there as well each month. So we have the Easy Essentials class every month, and that's for new Thermomix owners. But even if you just want a bit of a refresh and some inspiration, then really encourage you to jump on that one. That's coming up on the 25th of April at 7:30 p.m. I'll pop that one into the chat box now. Hopefully that is the right link. I'm pretty sure I had them all right. I will just bear with me while I quickly copy and paste from my document here the Easy Essentials for new owners and the cookie dough one. I will grab that as well so you can register for that. But I think we've just about finished all our recipes. So thank you, Kathy, Diane, Cynthia, and Sue. I think Kathy, Cynthia, are you still there? Are you about ready to share and show? I'll bring up all the team and their wonderful recipes.
Got the cocktail?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Dinner to my husband.
No, all good. We'll come back to you. Diane's going to do one last cocktail for the evening, and then we're going to be showcasing all the recipes that the team have been working to create tonight.
So I'm doing the lychee sorbet cocktail. So it's quite a quick cocktail. So when you make this, it's really important that you read the recipe and start the day before, early in the morning. I made it once, got my daughter-in-law to make it, gave her the can of lychees, and it says use frozen lychee juice. So I had to strain the lychees and freeze the juice. So it pays to think ahead when you're making this recipe. So I've already done that. And so all I need to do now is put in here some white sugar. So just 30 grams of white sugar and some mint leaves. And then mix, pop the lid on. And 10 seconds, it's going to mill. My husband's been waiting all night for this, so and we're just going to add the lychee fruit. There's a bit more juice on there, that's all right. Add the fruit of the lychee and the ice cubes that I did earlier on. So the frozen juice from the lychees that have been, pop the lid on, another 10 seconds. And you can prolong that if you needed to. If you didn't think it was chopped enough, but it's looking pretty good. And then we add some sparkling wine. I mean, you can add sparkling water if you didn't want sparkling wine. I'm going to add about half a bottle goes in here. And it goes on. Just mix this for a few seconds. That preview is really good on your Thermomix. If you don't use it, do, because it's really good just to have a look ahead, just to see what the next stage is going to be. So there you go. That's all ready. So I'm going to put this. It says to go into 6 glasses. We haven't got 6, so it's going to be interesting. So
like that, Diane. 6 servings for 2.
It was like my I don't drink much alcohol, so this is a bit of a joke, really. So it goes in here in your glass. Obviously, you wouldn't put as much in, probably. And then you top it up with the remaining of your wine. Whoops, maybe not quite so much. You can see I don't work in a pub.
Love it.
Oh gosh, Lynn, you missed out on a little bit. And then we put a few, it says raspberries. I've just got a frozen raspberries because I didn't have any fresh raspberries, but it's still a little frothy, but I'm just going to pop a few raspberries in there to give it a bit of colour. And if they weren't frozen, of course, they'd look much nicer. But there's my lychee cocktail. So
fantastic. I know this cocktail well. Every Christmas I get together for few girlfriends and we do the lychee cocktail. It is
lovely.
real winner.
Nice.
Yeah.
But as I say, just don't make sure you've read the recipe and you freeze the lychee juice first.
Yeah.
Do you want me to show my
great tip? Yeah, please do. We're going to bring all the team on and we're going to show all those recipes. We'll whiz around. And see.
That's the beef bowls that I've made. There's 2 really good sized plates. You could probably even make it into 3. So a really quick recipe and really delicious flavours. So well worth giving a go. So this in the cocktail and we'll set. Putting it till 9:30. Save it for tomorrow.
Fantastic. Thank you, Diane. I love it. Love all those tips that you've brought to the virtual tonight. Just a wealth of information and yeah, love it. Love seeing all your passion shine through in your cooking and cocktail making. So thank you. We'll whiz on over to Cynthia's kitchen. She's going to show us her patties. She's got them all beautifully laid out there on her plate with her sauce.
This is my patties. So you can fry them off in the frying pan as well if you want to. It will give them a little bit of colour and maybe bring out some of that flavour a little bit more. But you don't have to. Steamed is all good, and that's how we're going to have them tonight because it's a late one for dinner. And
yeah, that looks delicious.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Cynthia, the plate that you're holding, is that one serving or is that all of them?
That is one serving. In fact, it's not even one serving because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on here, and we made at least 15, and they were kind of palm size. I've got small hands, but they're a decent size. So
yeah,
it's quite a generous recipe.
Yeah, maybe dinner for 2 and then some for lunch leftovers.
Yes,
love it.
Absolutely.
Fab, thanks for sharing that. Right, we'll come on over to Sue. We'll see Sue's delicious cheesecake.
Right. Finished product. You can see all the nuts around. There's mango sitting on the top with a couple of mint leaves. Here is, these have come out of the varoma and I have to leave them for half an hour before I upend them. And then they have to go in the fridge to chill. So that's what they look like. Almost ready. And I did taste the other one that I made this afternoon and it tastes really nice. So definitely a recipe I'd probably do again too, which is great.
Yeah, you've inspired me to give those a go. I love good pistachio and I love a cheesecake. Yum. Favorite dessert. Top job. Awesome. Thank you. Kathy, how's your bake out the oven? Got your pasta, 3 cheese pasta bake.
Yeah, it's right here. That's it in my little dish. And I was very surprised, you guys were doing other things afterwards, but when I did finish the sauce and then it asked me to add the pasta and the broccoli, I was in my mind, I'm like, maybe I'm going to have to mix this a little bit with a spatula. Not at all. It was completely mixed through, which was so great. It wasn't even mixing for that long. It was only like 20 or 30 seconds that it mixed and it was all completely mixed through. Popped it in the dish with the cheese on top, and yeah, it's only like 5 minutes that you're grilling it in the oven for, so that's super quick too. So yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and that looks like a generous too.
Yeah, definitely a generous size, and it could be like a side dish. You could add some meat or something and then have it as a side dish, which would be perfect because it's so quick and easy to make. And then you could cook up a steak or some salmon or something and have that with it as well, and it'd be really lovely. Yeah.
Amazing. Top job. Thank you.
Which I've already started drinking because it's delicious.
Yeah. Get into that. You don't want to be waiting.
No.
Into it. Love it. Well, a big, huge thank you to the team putting your time in to help everyone tonight. And I hope that everyone who has joined us this evening is leaving with some inspiration and new ideas. Lots of great questions coming through, so thank you. Do reach out to your consultant, and you know, we want to help you to get the most from your Thermomix. There's always lots of learning to be done, so thank you. Rosalind's asking, Sue, can you slice your cake open, please? I think she wants to see the inside of your cheesecake. What's the texture like? I assume it's probably quite creamy, having that fresh ricotta in there as well. They're beautiful. So and I did pop in the chat box around the link for that cookie dough class. It appears to be a date change. So it was actually tonight, at the same time as we were on. So keep an eye out for the next one in May. Here you go. I'll just try and spotlight you there. So I'll just take the spotlights off the others. We'll get you a little bit bigger on the screen to see your cheesecake, and we'll get some photos, and I'll send out the recipes in an email to everyone that's registered this evening. Yeah, look at that, amazing. I think you're on mute, Sue, if you're chatting.
Definitely slices up very easily. You can see it's really nice and smooth on the inside. Oops, it's fallen off, but yeah, definitely, and it's not too big.
Yeah, another generous portion there as well.
Yeah.
You never go hungry with Thermomix. The portions are wonderful. All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you again. We got some great ideas coming in for upcoming virtuals. My team and myself, we run one once a month, so we look forward to seeing you at one coming up. If there's anything that you especially want to learn more about, please do reach out to your consultant as well. Fantastic. Have a lovely evening, everybody. I'll get the team on and we'll snap some photos.